We'll see here an example of proof using the contrapositive of a statement. So when you have a conditional if P then Q, the contrapositive of it is if not Q, then not P. And both of these are formally equivalent, which means if you have to prove if P then Q, you can instead prove if not Q, then not P, because they have the same truth tables, which means if this one is true, then this one will be true, right? So this is an example. Let x be an integer. If the expression x squared minus 6x plus 5 is even, we will have to prove that x is odd. So an even number is a number that is divisible by 2, which means that 2 divides x squared minus 6x plus 5. This sign means divides. It means that this is divisible by 2. Is even, then prove that x is odd. Odd means that it is not divisible by 2. So even numbers, the definition of even numbers are the numbers that you can write, they are divisible by 2, which means that you can write them as 2 times something, here 2 times p, with p an integer. And odd numbers are not divisible by 2, it's the others. So even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. And the odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on. And you can write them 2p plus 1, with p being an integer. Because it's, when you have the 2 p's, for p is equal to 0, 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8, and so on. Okay, so this formula builds all the even numbers. And this formula is the even numbers plus 1, which means that your plus 1 here is 0 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 4 plus 1, 6 plus 1, and so on. So you build, with this, you build all the odd numbers, okay? Except when I try to write that this is even, it is very complicated, right? So my sign here means divides. It means that I should write this like 2 times something. I should write it like x squared, sorry, x squared minus 6x plus 5 is even, means it's 2 times something with p an integer. And what am I going to do with that? It is very complicated to manipulate because this expression is complicated. But this is simple. X is odd. It's quite simple. So the idea is what you have to prove is this. If this is even, then x is odd. The idea is, if I want to prove it that way, I will have to start here, which is very complicated. And I would like to start here, except it's not the right way. Except if I use the contrapositive. If I use the contrapositive here, the contrapositive would be not implies not. Be careful, it's not Q, so not x odd implies not x squared minus 6x plus 5 even. It means that I would have to prove that if x is even, because the negation of odd is even, then x squared minus 6x plus 5 is odd. This is way, way easier because I can write this. X is even, it's just, you have to write x as 2 times p. Then put it inside of this and see if you can build a 2 times something plus 1. So I'll try to prove that. And if I prove this, as the contrapositive and the conditional are formally equivalent, if I prove this, I will have proven this. Let's do this. So you can stop the video now and try for yourself, right? Solution in 3, 2, 1. So we'll suppose that x is even. Then there exists a number p in z, which allows us to write x as 2 times p. So let p, an integer, so that x is equal to 2 times p. I have the right to write that because x is even. Then I'll check what happens in this expression. X squared minus 6x plus 5 is 2p squared minus 6 times 2p plus 5, which is 4p squared minus 12p plus 5. And in fact, I can write this 4p squared minus 12p plus 4 plus 1. And you see me coming, I want to write it like 2 times something plus 1. So if I call this p prime, this is equal to 2p primes plus 1. P prime is an integer because it is the square of an integer times 2 minus a product of integers plus another integer. So it stays in the z set. So this is, and this is odd. Therefore, x squared minus 6x plus 5 is odd. It's the definition of an odd number. So I did prove this quite easily because I took the contrapositive of the statement. If I had wanted to start here, it would have been very difficult to prove that x is odd. So this is an example of proof by contrapositive. It is part of your program. You need to know how to do this.